Some of the key things we want to remember from this module. Keep in mind that we want to make sure that our objects are always created initially in some useful state. We don't want to allow a user to just new up an object and have it in an erroneous state. They may not be able to do something meaningful with it, but it should at least not be error-based when they first create it. In terms of how we can initialize our objects, we saw there's a number of ways. The simplest way is field initializers that allow us to just associate a value with a field as part of its declaration. As we associate code with our object creation, that we have constructors, and every class has at least one constructor. If we don't provide a constructor, Java will provide one that has no arguments on it. We can provide multiple constructors, and remember that once we provide one constructor, we're now responsible to provide all of them, right? So if we provide a constructor that has arguments, if we still want to allow people to create an instance of our object using a constructor with no arguments, we then have to provide that constructor as well. We can chain our constructors together, which allows us to unify code in constructors so that we can pass parameters from one constructor back to another constructor to use that code. Remember though that when we do chain constructors together, the call from one constructor to another has to be the first line of that constructor. To have code that gets executed no matter which constructor is called, we have initialization blocks. Remember that syntax on that's kind of weird. It's just a set of brackets with code inside of it, not part of any constructor or method. And given all these different ways to initialize our objects and get them constructed up, we want to make sure we always keep the order in mind. Again, remember that field initializers are first, then initialization blocks, and then finally our constructors.